I'd first like to start by congratulating all of tonight's inductees. And I'm so pleased to be able to give this introduction for a friend and colleague whom I've known and admired all the years that I've been in Medina. Gary Hallman was born and raised in Shelby, Ohio. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology from the University of Akron and later an executive MBA from Walter Wallace University. Gary began his business career working for the United Telephone Company for a couple of years and then switched to banking. He was with First Federal Savings and Loan in Worcester for 6 years, during which time he moved to Medina. And I think that might be when I first got to know Gary, because he was our loan officer for our mortgage. His next move was to Old Phoenix Bank, where he spent 11 years as a commercial lender and senior loan officer before going to Akron, where he was senior commercial loan officer in charge of Akron's commercial lending department. In 1988, Ted Coleman and David Jones and I were on the Medina Hospital Board, and Ed Hall, who was president then, came to the board with a succession plan and an unusual suggestion for who that individual should be. It was a time when healthcare was looking at other industries for leadership skills, and Gary Hallman was an ideal candidate. So on August 8, 1988, Gary transitioned to healthcare and became the executive vice president of Medina General Hospital. In 1993, he took over as president and CEO. And during his tenure with the hospital, Gary oversaw the growth of the South Medical Building, the intensive care unit, and the emergency department, the expansion of the Brunswick Immediate Care Center, and new outpatient facilities. He also oversaw the hospital's merger with the Cleveland Clinic. Now I have to mention that Ted Coleman was chair of the Medina Hospital Board during much of this time, so yes, he was Gary's boss. Throughout the years, as an extension of his work, Gary served on the Old Phoenix National Bank First Merit Advisory Board. He was a member of the Akron Regional Hospital Association as a board member and president of that board. He was also a member of the board of the Greater Cleveland Hospital Association, a founding board member of Westfield Bank, and currently sits on the board of directors for Westfield Insurance and Westfield McLean. As with all of our inductees, Gary gave a significant amount of his time in leadership and support of our community. He was a member, vice president, and president of the Kiwanis Club of Medina, and a board member for the YMCA and Weather Vane Theater. Gary has been a coach for the Medina Youth Basketball Association and has been treasurer of the United Church of Christ, where he's currently a member of the Church Foundation Committee. He served on the United Way of Medina Board as campaign chair and then president of the board. He was named the JC's Outstanding Young Man of the Year, and not to be outdone, the very next year, his wife Holly, a former Medina High School guidance counselor, was named Outstanding Young Woman of the Year. Gary was a founding board member of Leadership Medina and was the 2010 recipient of the Leadership Medina County Excellence in Healthcare Award. He was a board member and board president of the Medina Area Chamber of Commerce and served on the board and as president of the Medina County Economic Development Corporation. And he also served as that organization's representative to the Team NEO board. Gary and Holly are now enjoying retirement, travel and golf, and their grandchildren. They have 2 sons who are here tonight, Brad, his wife Jen, and granddaughter Callie, who live in Burke, Virginia, and Mark and his wife Christy, who live in Cleveland with grandchildren Aaron and Aiden. It is my honor to introduce Hall of Fame inductee, Gary Hallman.
Last but not least, and the Cavs are tipping off right now, so am I supposed to keep it quiet or short? Thank you very much. This is a true honor from the board, from the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. Pam, thank you very much for the introduction. Pam was a tremendous asset to the hospital, a personal commentary when I needed it, and she continues to serve, now as chair of the hospital board, as well as a member of the Cleveland Clinic board. So, and also a past inductee. But I'd like to sort of, go along with George's comments as far as family. I was fortunate to actually be a part of 2 families. the old Phoenix family, Mr. Jones, and, Medina General Hospital. I want to acknowledge some people here tonight who have been very meaningful for me and for my career in the time of Medina. But I have to start way back when. I used to be 25. That's when we came to town. But unfortunately, I can't say that anymore. But I'm still sucking wind, and that's pretty good. But I have to start back into the fall of 1965. And I was fortunate enough to meet a young lady at the University of Akron in freshman orientation. And that's a long time, but she stuck with me. And my wife, Holly, I can't ask for any more support than what she's given me through the years. She also did a few other things. 2 great sons, Brad and Mark, their wives, Jen and Christy, and 1 granddaughter here tonight, Callie, who was fortunate enough to pull down my pant legs when my socks kept them up. And then 2 other grandchildren, Aaron and Aiden, but I think they're more engrossed with Ferdinand, with Christy's mother, than they would be here listening to Grammy. But Holly was a guidance counselor at Medina High School, and she and Barb crossed paths for a long time. Barb indicated that some of the stories that she could share with me would not be worthy of sharing tonight, so I won't get into that. But we moved to Medina in 1972, and in the First Federal Savings and Loan, it was a newbie in the area, and so my whole idea was get involved fast. So I called the chamber office, and I said I'd like to get involved. And they said, fine, we're going to put you on the activities committee. I said, great. Who do I contact? Well, you contact the pearly-voiced Otis Kronk. And I'm showing my age there. But Otis, I can't even mimic his voice, but he said, okay, you're on my committee. And I said, well, who else is on that? Well, you and me. And I said, all right, what sort of activities do we have to do? And he said, well, the first one will be the President's Ball in February. And I think this was maybe October or November. And so, we put our thought together and contacted Medina Country Club, and we were pretty much done. So we moved forward. But, as far as the chamber and the President's Ball, in the meantime, Holly's mom worked at the University of Akron in the President's office. And another lady there, Miss Carolyn Pardee, indicated to Holly's mom, well, if you're going to be successful in Medina, you better meet the Joneses. And so along came the President's Ball, and thinking that in the back of my mind, but not intentionally, Holly and I are out elegantly dancing on the floor, and out of the blue, we get rammed by Mr. Jones. So that's how we met Mr. Jones. But, that was the start of a long friendship and a long mentoring. David's a special guy. And fortunately, in 1977, he asked me or invited me to join the bank. And so I said, well, I've been doing mortgage lending. What do you want me to do? Well, you're going to do commercial lending. I said, okay. Are you going to teach me? You're right. I'm going to teach you. So he taught me commercial lending and sometimes not how to do commercial lending. But we had a lot of fun and a lot of good years. But I worked with Old Phoenix, starting in '77 and then leaving in 1986 for Akron. But in the meantime, I did get involved, and I asked David, I said, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing whatever. Is that too much? He goes, well, no. Why don't you carve out some more time and do a little more? So I tried to do that. But in the meantime, I worked with people like Lloyd Vaughn, and he brings up Gene Morris's name. Well, fortunately, Jim Gersbacher, Lloyd Vaughn, and I were the search committee. And Gene had a lot of good things going for him. But number one, he was another person from Shelby, Ohio. Isn't that amazing? And he lived 2 doors from me. So we contacted him, and as Lloyd indicated, he accepted, and he was an outstanding fixture of this Chamber of Commerce. But banking changed dramatically, and David knew that in order to survive in the banking industry, you had to be with a bigger player. And so that came with First National. And 1986, they invited me to join them as senior commercial lending officer, and obviously I accepted, or I didn't know where else to go at the point in time. And so we did that, and fortunately in 1988 I get a call, because I was really deeply pining for Medina, and everybody here has said a reason to be pining for Medina. It's a great community, great people. So David said, Hallman, let's have lunch, we'll have it at Sharon, be there at noon. So I was there at noon, David was there at noon. We sat down. I said, well, what are we going to talk about? I didn't want to say, are you bringing me back? And he said, no. He said, but if I tell you who else is joining us, then the cat's out of the bag. So, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, David often referred to Ed Hall as late help. But Ed showed up. And so they put this idea in front of me that I should join the hospital, change careers. Well, okay, we'll give that a shot. And so Ed said, well, before you do it, you're going to have to get an MBA, which I did. And got involved with the hospital, gained some great friendship with physicians, people like Steve Papp and Jeff Case, who are here tonight. Now we're retired, we play golf together. And that was always great. The people at the hospital were great too. A little bigger than Old Phoenix. We were around 1,500 people there at times. But it was a family, and we truly enjoyed being with each other. But the fun thing was the growth, as Pam indicated. We took the old Widener property down, and we made it a state-of-the-art facility. Also, David Jones was the chairman of the board. And so we continued moving, growing, expanding. Ed retired. I did become president. We also started a foundation, and guess who was the first chairman of the board? David Jones, followed by Bob Bucks. And also at that point in time, we had a fall dinner dance, and we were looking for the perfect MC, master of ceremonies. Who did we turn to? Mr. Bittner. Really made it an elegant, caring organization and a beautiful evening. But between the physicians and the employees, we were successful, but as in the time with the bank, bad times started creeping up, and we were looking for partners. But fortunately, we always had a good board. David was chairman of the board when I joined the hospital, followed by John Root, and then Tad Coleman, and I guess I did work for Tad Coleman. And now Pam, but Pam was vice chair when Tad was chair. Now a new organization exists, and Rick Shoebridge, Dr. Shoebridge is president of the hospital, who's a great individual. We recruited him as in his specialty, and he was very, very popular and a very successful physician. So, all of a sudden, now I'm at the hospital. David kindly invites me to join the Old Phoenix board. George was kind enough to keep me after David retired, as well as George and Lloyd and I play a lot of golf, and especially the Kiwanis golf outings. Lloyd would say, hey, let's have a good time. We're going to play in the Ohio District Kiwanis golf outing. We're going to get up at 5 in the morning, leave at 6, and be the first tee time so that we can play another 18 that afternoon. We did it. We had a lot of fun doing it. One of my best memories was concerning Bill Fleming. Bill, a dear friend, and as David and I talked, we had a great golf group. On Saturday and Sundays, it was David, Bill, Ed Hall, Kerry Blair, and a few other people thrown in. But we had a lot of fun, and it certainly meant a lot to me. But anyway, Bill Fleming, I was to pick him up in order to go to this golf outing. And so I'm running and barreling down the Granger Road. I'm late, and I'm pulling into the Granger condominiums. And I'm thinking, well, I'll go back. And so I go back and knock on this door, ring the doorbell. I even gave one honk at 6 in the morning. It wasn't very popular. I thought, well, maybe he decided to drive. So all of a sudden, I was creeping out the front, and there's Bill sitting at the front stoop with his golf bag on his shoulder. So foolish, but it was fun. It set the tone for the day. But David was kind enough again to include me on the whole Phoenix's board. Introduced me to the people of Westfield, and I became a part of their board. And then Westfield Bank, Dave and I were both founding board members there. But 2009 came, as Pam indicated, and Tad indicated, we sealed the deal with Cleveland Clinic. And I was 62 at that point, and said, enough is enough, and so I retired. So I have to think back and look at my working career and say, wow, who can be as lucky as I, having families, the old Phoenix family, and it's nice to hear the Brinkmeyer name, because I remember Ruth as being one of the fantastic tellers at old Phoenix Bank. But my memories of Medina, art in the park, Friday night band concerts, but it comes down to the theme tonight, people helping people. I look at the hospital and think, wow, if I'm out in the corridors and there's a code blue, if you don't jump to the side, you get run over because every caring nurse is running to help out. I see Jim Patton over there. In 2001, Steve Patt and a few of the rest of us were on a golf trip to Scotland and Ireland. I get back, we're groggy, and all of a sudden they get a phone call as soon as they get home. Garrett, where should I take the ice? What ice? What are you talking about? And he goes, well, there was a disaster at the fairgrounds. There was a call for anybody to bring ice, and so I'm willing and wanting to deliver as much ice as I can, to the hospital to help people out. Those are all situations that you need people to help people, and that's what Medina is all about. This is a great honor to receive this tonight. None of the recipients did what they did thinking that they were going to be part of the Chamber Hall of Fame at some point in time. It happened. We're having a great evening, and we're all appreciative. But I want to just say that, Medina will always be our home. God bless all of you. Thank you very much for this honor, and may God watch over you and bless you in your days and years to come. Thank you very much.